Lowry Markkanen went on a rampage this past NBA season. After getting traded from the Cavs to the Jazz, Lauri exploded from a role player to an all-star starter.
The Kia most improved player of the NBA is Lowry Markkanen.
Wow.
He's the favorite for the most improved player in the league, and fingers are crossed that he can repeat the award in his service with the military.
I'm excited. It's something that I've never done, and I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot of things.
Because that's right, the NBA star is now entering boot camp as the offseason for his team begins. Just what will it take for him to win Most Improved Soldier? I'm not sure. Could he win Most Valuable Shooter? If his three-point range translates to guns, there's a chance. However, these are not the questions I'm here to answer. I'll leave those scenarios up to you in the comments. I'm here to answer why. Why did one of the brightest stars in the NBA now have to maneuver his basketball practices around military service? Well, for starters, I think it's important to realize that this isn't actually the first time that this has happened. Way back in the early 1960s, one of the NBA's legends went and served in the military. The man was the star of the Lakers, Elgin Baylor. Baylor would enlist in the military early in his basketball career. It resulted in him becoming what most people started calling him, a weekend warrior. He'd been with the military on base during the week and then, on the weekends, would fly all over the country to play games for the Lakers. Then, come Sunday night, he'd fly back and start the whole thing over again. So if you're freaking out about Lauri having to do this during the offseason, imagine if he was suddenly having to fly back and forth between US cities and Helsinki. Baylor was a pioneer in a lot of ways, even in fashion, as he often struggled to get military uniforms that fit him properly. So now that we've established that this isn't the first time an NBA player has gone G.I. Joe, let's get into Lauri's situation. The country of Finland has a mandatory military service for all men before they turn 30. So for 25-year-old Markkanen, time was starting to run out. He's made it quite clear that this was something he always intended on doing. Lauri states that he believes it sets a great example of how important completing your service is, and no one gets a free pass.
I try to represent Finland as well as I can, whether it's on the court or off the court. So I feel it's a responsibility, and I'm enjoying it.
But first came postponements during his time at the University of Arizona as he went through a year of college while simultaneously preparing to become a professional athlete at the age of 20. And then another postponement actually came last year. While Lauri was still on the Cleveland Cavaliers, he intended to go during the offseason. But then the Cavs made it into the play-in tournament. And even though they didn't end up making it into the playoffs proper, the play-in conflicted too heavily with the deployment schedule, so he decided to push it back again. And now, whether Lauri liked it or not, the Jazz saw no play-in or playoff experience. The Utah Jazz were meant to do this from the very beginning of the season. They blew it up, and they were supposed to stink. But they started red hot out of nowhere, and were at one point high in the Western Conference standings. Unfortunately, that hot start turned into a cold plunge. They dropped out of the playoff race and are hoping to land a top pick in the upcoming draft. Have scouts actually confirmed that Victor Wembanyama won't suddenly have to report to the French military when he gets to the NBA? It's always better to double check on that one, guys. Because although Lauri has full confidence in doing this, anything can happen. And the star forward is about to do a lot more physical training outside of his usual dribble moves. Thankfully, professional athletes appear to get sent to a special sector of the Finland military for their mandatory service. This allows them to manage their time between service and keeping their practice regimen. So Lauri should have no problem dunking the ball and going right to target practice. It's the next installment of the skills challenge at All-Star Weekend. Dribble through those cones, toss a grenade through the hoop, do a layup, and then get a bullseye with a sniper. It's genius. Great collaboration by the NBA. So, will Lauri be done after this offseason? By all reports, maybe. It's not quite clear at the time of this recording. It looks like mandatory service ranges from 6 months to a year. Even inferring that professional athletes get manageable timelines as they do with their sector, Lauri could be looking at heading back in the following offseason. There are no reports that have shown that he'll finish it out in one fell swoop. So dividing it up throughout downtime in the NBA seems most likely. Which raises the next question. What if the Jazz make the playoffs next year? They weren't really that far off from making the play-in, and anything can happen from there. Lowry Markkanen might be the next Elgin Baylor. In all reality, and all jokes aside, Lauri's been very vocal about how much pride he takes in completing his service. He loves his home country and wants to support it just like every other Finnish citizen. He's talked about how it's a fresh new challenge to tackle and how he's looking forward to meeting all sorts of new people. It's a lesson in honoring commitments, embracing your country, and reloading while hitting a fadeaway. Markkanen will spend his summer training for emergency and wartime conditions as he looks to get his second All-Star appearance in the NBA. With averages last year of almost 27 points and 9 rebounds, he might lead the Jazz into the battles of the playoff series. And the curls better be back, Lauri. I saw the Instagram post with the shaved head, man. I like the thumbs up, but it's okay to cry in front of us. We can get through this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.